Welcome, guys, to my NFL Week 18 picks. Before we start, just quick thing. I just want to tell you guys any likes or subscriptions or even comments, right, are very much appreciated. If you want to tell me your predictions and picks down below, feel free to. Never hurts, and it's always fun to read from me. So, thank you guys, and let's get started. Okay, first game up. Steelers and Ravens. And before I tell you why I chose Steelers, I want to tell you two interesting things about Week 18, which might help you understand why I'm picking these teams. So the first one, all divisional games, makes it a little harder to predict, but divisional games are definitely more interesting. And the second is that some teams are resting and some teams are playing for a playoff spot, and that's what's interesting about Week 18. So, great example here. Normally, I would definitely pick the Ravens to win, but because they're resting their starters, I picked the Steelers even on the road. And you'll see that later on. I'll pick teams that you may not think should win, but when you take into account if they're going to be resting or fighting for a playoff spot, it might change things. Okay, next team up, Texans and Colts. So I have the Texans winning here, pretty much for the purpose of C.J. Stroud. I think he's the better quarterback, and they can run a better offense that the Colts can't stop. So give the Texans the win here. Okay, Browns and Bengals. Again, another example of I would usually pick the Browns here, but they're resting their starters this week. They already have a playoff spot. It's locked in. So there's no reason to put their players in. And for the Bengals, they're out of playoff contention. So I think they're going to be playing with nothing to care for, really. But that's going to make them more dangerous. And give me the Bengals here at home. Okay, so these are two teams that are still going to play. Still going to put in their starters to play. Vikings out of playoff contention. The Lions in the playoffs, but they're still going to play for that playoff spotting. They're seeding, I mean. And because the Lions are at home, I think they're really just going to dominate the Vikings here and get the win. Just a better football team all around. Okay, next up, the Jags and the Titans. This one could be a little interesting, but I think the Jags are just a better football team. And because they're fighting for the playoff spot and the Titans aren't, give me the Jags here to win. Next up, we got the Jets and Patriots. This one is really just going against the two teams in the league that might be the worst. And they're in the same division too, right? So, yeah, I picked the Patriots here. Might be a little bit of an upset. The Jets have a good defense, but the Patriots, we saw last week, score a bunch of points against the Bills. I think they will continue that because both these teams aren't in the playoffs, so it will be kind of like a regular game. And give me the Patriots here. Okay, next up, Saints and Falcons. Both these teams have been mediocre at best, but somehow they're both still fighting for a playoff spot because that NFC South isn't that good of a conference. And I chose the Saints here to win. I just think, have a better quarterback, better coach, just better overall football team. And they've been doing a little better over the season. So give me them to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a Falcons win. Okay, for my lock of the week, I don't think this is a surprise. Panthers 2-14. They've been absolutely abysmal this year, and the Bucks have been playing well recently. Have been a good football team with Baker Mayfield, and I think they'll continue against a bad Panthers defense and a bad Panthers offense. I think they can dominate on each side of the ball in this game. And they're playing for a playoff spot too, which doesn't hurt. So give me the win for them on the road. Okay, next up, we got the Bears and Packers. This one is probably the closest game I see happening this week. I really could have gone either way with this. But in the end, the home field advantage for the Packers really made me decide to pick them. The Packers are fighting for that playoff spot also. Gives a little bit of extra motivation over the Bears to beat them. But we saw last year they were playing against the Lions to get that playoff spot and missed, and they missed the playoff spot. So could history repeat itself? We'll see. Okay, so we've got the Broncos and Raiders. AFC West, and interesting at that. So the Chiefs have already locked in that playoff spot. And both of these teams are not playing for a playoff spot, so I think it's going to be like a regular game. And I would pick the Raiders here. Even though I can see the Broncos maybe winning, the Raiders have been playing a little bit better recently. And especially with a quarterback that's not Russell Wilson, I feel like the Raiders are going to really get the win here. Okay, my Eagles and the Giants. I picked the Eagles here. I think it's very realistic that we see a Giants win because they're at home. But I got to have faith. And the Eagles have not looked good. Suffered a really bad loss against the Cardinals. Defense was not good at all. So they really need to pick that up before the playoffs. But their offense has been pretty decent. Scored a lot of points recently. And really just need to get the mistakes under control. But I give them the win here. The Giants aren't a good football team, so they should be able to get the win against them. But even if they don't, they're still in the playoffs, and we just gotta fix a few things, or not even a few things, a lot of things. Okay, next game. Seahawks and Cardinals. So the Cardinals, like I was just talking about, won against the Eagles. Big upset. So I can actually see them winning here at home, but I'm not going to take the upset here. I'm going to stick with the Seahawks, especially because they're fighting for a playoff spot. I think that will be the extra motivation that they need. And I think they'll move to 9-8 this week. Okay, so this one's against my logic. The Chiefs are resting their starters this week. And normally that would make me pick the Chargers, especially because they're at home. But I don't think the Chargers have the ability to beat the Chiefs no matter if they're resting the starters or not. The Chargers have just not been a good football team all year. And the Chiefs, even though they haven't been as dominant as the past few years, they've still been a good football team. So give me the Chiefs here. Okay, for my upset of the week, we have the Rams beating the 49ers. And it's not really a true upset because we can kind of predict this one more than others. The 49ers will be resting their starters for the playoffs. They've gotten the first seat. Congrats to them as an Eagles fan. I wish we got it, but I don't think we deserve it. But anyway, the Rams, I feel like are going to win this game. They're on a very strong momentum forward, and I can see them doing a lot of damage in the playoffs. So watch out for them. Okay, so NFC East divisional game. This is one where I'm rooting strongly against the Cowboys. They're away, so I think it may be possible that they lose, especially in this divisional game. But overall, the Cowboys are just a much stronger football team than the Commanders. And because of that, I'm going to give them the win here. But as an Eagles fan, I'm hoping and praying that the Commanders will beat them so the Eagles can get that NFC East title. And for our last game, Sunday Night Football, probably the most interesting one, Bills and Dolphins. You see here, I gave the Dolphins the win. Each of these teams are fighting for that playoff seeding, and I think the Dolphins at home will have the advantage to win. But you never know because the Bills have not been a very consistent team, so they might show up to play. They might get the win here, but the Dolphins have also been slightly more consistent, so I trust them more to get the win. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. And feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. I always love seeing what you guys have to say and some of the predictions and picks that you have. And just remember, all these videos are going to be a little awkward because these are some of my first. I'm still working out some things. So just stick with me. They'll get better as I keep producing some more videos. Alright, so that's it, and I'll see you guys for the playoffs.